Well, hello. Fred sent in the next part of his project and wants me to have a look at it. So this is the extension now on data validation. That lesson's on the 13th of February, and it's got to look at whether the age is too young. Also got to look at whether a name has been entered at all. I did give some code down the bottom there to checking for that. Anyway, let's have a look at what Fred's got and see what happens. So this is Fred's code. Just note that unlike our previous project, this project actually starts with the PHP page, because the PHP page at this point makes the decision, does it have data? And if it doesn't have any data posted to it, then it knows to load up the web page with the form information on it so that you can fill it in. So that's quite neat. Right, going on from there, let's run this and see what happens. So opening in the browser, run the page. I'm going to leave the name blank because that's what we're testing for. I'm going to put some number in here, doesn't matter too much, as long as it's a valid one. And it says data correct, which means it's not looking at that field. Something's going wrong if it thinks that's correct when the field was empty. Let's go and have a look at what code we have in here. So going down there and just scrolling through, this is the section where it's testing for the name down here, and we have this statement up here. A couple of problems with this statement. One, it talks about int name. Int from a naming of a variable point of view is wrong because it's a text variable. That won't make the program not work, but it's just not correct. If I go through all of this code above it and look, I can see that there is no int name. Int name never gets a value. So whatever the idea was here, that's not going to work for us because int name never got a value. The other problem here is, although that looks almost like a nice piece of code, equal sign in PHP means make it. So this makes int name null. If you actually wanted to check whether they were equivalent to each other, you have to actually use the equal sign twice. Equal equals means are they equal to each other. Equals on its own just means make it. So int name will be made null. But again, int name doesn't have any value up here, so that's a bit pointless. The code that was suggested, that code may work that's already there, if we had the right variable name and we gave it a value, is this code. So that code was just checking if it's empty. Empty and null are not exactly the same thing. So from my point of view, using empty is a better choice. All right, so we're saying, is text name empty? Now we need to make sure that is there anything up here that gets a value in the text name, and there isn't at this stage. We've got a text name spot stored in session, but we don't actually have a text name variable. So let's just give us a line that will do that. So $text name, and we'll get it from the post. Okay, so that means that's got something in it. We're now testing to see if it's empty. Something else I don't like is, where's the matching bracket for that? It's out here. All right, brackets should line up so they're visually shown. So I'm just going to tab that across. So pairs of brackets should line up. So if I click on this one, right, it lines up down here. Would complain that there's all sorts of stuff in the way because that's the beginning and end. All right, so if I was being neat here again, I'd want to actually move these all across so they're inside. So I'm going to go to here, edit, code. It's a bit buried. If you had two hands, you could just type the shortcut. I don't at the moment. And I want to indent the code, which is Control, Shift, and the greater than symbol. All right, that's much neater. While we're at it here, let's have a look what else is in here. If statement, that's a beginning and end. The else statement. Again, I'd like to see this one out. And these two in. Okay, in terms of lining up of brackets, that just makes it easy to visually see what's going on. All right, let's see what we've got. We've gone to this thing now. Just save it, run it again. Going to leave blank name again. Put a number in there. All right, we've got the error message, you need a name. We've also got all sorts of crazy stuff in here. Why do we have crazy stuff in there? So it should have returned the blank that was there, but no, it's actually filled that in with something else. So we need to look at this page, which is the error page, and find out what's in this position on the error page. So let's go across to the error page. And in terms of what's going on there, you might want to go to design view just to see it a little easier for yourself, possibly. All right, it's here. And let's go back now to code. And that's highlighted that section of the web page so I can see what we're talking about. And at that point there, it's echoing something in the session variable called int name. There is nothing in the session variable for int name. If we go back here, we don't use int name. Even when we had that variable further down, we didn't actually have a session variable called int name. All right, so the session variable in here that we want to be grabbing is the one for text name. So that's what should be in that spot. All right, so we'll put that in there this time. And again, we'll try it again. Let's do a save all. We've changed a few files, so files, save all. Go back here and let's run that again. Again, leave that blank, put a number in there, submit. You need a name, and this is now blank as you'd expect it to be. Let's go back. Let's put a name in there and submit. It's still saying we need a name, so we've still got a problem there. Okay, this problem's a little more complicated. If I'm clicking submit here, but okay. So the issue is that our form does not seem to be actually recognizing that there's data being put into it. So looking now at the form, it's possible to see that there's a form and a form and a form. And if I look carefully at that form, so if I click on that form has no end. This form has this section here, this form has this section here, and then this button is sort of outside of everything. So looking at what we've got here, it would appear that this form needs to at least end. So we need to put the end of a form in here to fix that up. So that form now has an end, and we don't need forms inside the forms. And just looking carefully, this form has an action to go to exercise 2 PHP, and both of these don't have. So we're going to take these ones out. Now, a neat way to be able to do that, to take out a tag that wraps around something like this here. If I go over across to the right here, I've got the DOM, and I can see there's a form and a form there. And what I can do is I can right click on the form that I've selected, and I can remove the tag. I can go to this form as well, and I can right click on that, and I can remove the tag. So now we just have this one form out here. Let's look at design. I'm not sure why I can't see a form border around that. I must admit this code is now looking quite untidy in terms of the way it's all set up. Alright, let's go and save everything. We have this massive form here with everything inside it now. Go back to here. We'll open in browser. Leave the name blank. And we'll submit. Now we can see here that this form has put the two fields beside each other. We can fix that in a moment. Let's just test the rest. If I put a name in here this time and submit, we're still not going anywhere. Oh, that's very disappointing. Oh, I'm not sure why that submit button's not working correctly. Let's go and fix up the layout at least. It could be because Chrome has remembered the wrong page and hasn't refreshed itself. So let's go and save all those. Probably a good idea to close all of these extra ones out so they're not possibly being cached. And then we can go and run it again. So go to exercise 2. Right click, open in browser, off we go again, Google Chrome. Leave a name out. Submit, comes up, you need a name, type a name in. Submit. No, I am really perplexed, I'd have to admit. That is very, very odd. Okay, chasing through, just trying to work out why I was having that error. It would seem possibly with my copy and paste, I'd copied the equal sign as well. So I've got two equal signs. So rather than saying text name is given the value from the post, I'm saying is text name the same as post. That won't work. So take that out and everything will now work. Save it, run it. Submit, no name. Put something in there and data's correct. All right, that's it. That took a little bit longer than I hoped.